Back with another episode of SDOVCC podcast. Today I'm in here with Mark Strickland. He's gonna give you guys, a little bit of how he was growing up, a little bit of the rundown, and how he sees, the world today involving substances.
All right, my name is Mark Strickland. I'm a former NBA player. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm the only child. I got two great parents. I did a lot of my character comes from my parents and mostly my dad and my great grandmother. I spent a lot of time with my great grandmother coming from the South. Um, she was a person that taught me to treat people like I wanted to be treated. Not see color. Um, so a lot of those things, a lot of those characteristics, I took throughout life. My dad was a Marine, so he gave me discipline because as a kid, I was not disciplined at all until I started playing sports. So that when I started playing sports, that kind of changed my attitude a lot. I had a place where I could channel that anger or that frustration instead of taking it out on my friends or being a person that people didn't like to be around. And once sports happened, it kind of changed my whole life. It made me more disciplined. It made me get my grades because I was not getting grades before. I was just kind of just like everybody else, man. You kind of just take school for granted. But once I started playing sports, I understood that I had to get my grades so that my coach could trust me. Because if I don't have grades, I can't play because you never know if I'd be eligible if I do to play.
Definitely.
So I kind of that sports made me change my attitude. One, made me take school a little bit more seriously because I wanted to play, and I was a pretty good athlete. Started out playing football and baseball. And then between eighth and ninth grade, I grew from 5'6" to 6'3". And then quit baseball. Just didn't see. My dad was a Marine. He always told me, man, if I didn't go to college, he was going to send me to the Marines, and I was not going to the Marines. So, it made me lock in a little bit more, especially in high school. A lot of people were going to parties and doing a lot of different things, man, and I couldn't because I knew that I wanted to go to college and I had to go to college. So it kept me out of trouble. Never really was in gangs or anything like that. I was around a lot of street business. My cousins and uncles, they all did it. So I think that's where my dad kind of kept me in the sports because he didn't want me to follow that same path. So I saw a lot as a little kid, man. I've seen, people get shot. I've seen, dead bodies. I've seen drug deals. I've seen shootouts with cops. I've seen people get beat up very badly. So, I tried to stay away from that. And sports kind of helped me do that. So I know a lot of people, a lot of kids don't have sports, but I try to tell them to find something that will give them that discipline to keep focus on something, try to lock in on something. For me, it was college and high school. I had to get to college. So that made me lock in on. I didn't go to a lot of parties. I didn't have a girlfriend in high school. I know girls like me, but I didn't really focus on having a girlfriend like that one girl. I really wasn't focused on that because I had to lock in and get to college. I really wanted to go to college. I had an uncle that played at University of Georgia. He played football at the University of Georgia, and that motivated me a lot to see him play on TV and win a championship with Georgia Bulldogs. That motivated me a lot and kind of changed my perspective a lot on a lot of things, man. It just added to that motivation. It added to that drive to get to college. Then was blessed enough to get a scholarship to Temple University, played for John Chaney. I went to Temple, one, because I wanted to be in the city. And I knew that as a basketball player, I had to be able to compete with DC, Maryland, um, Philadelphia, New Jersey, and New York. The different brand of basketball, not that basketball in the South is soft or anything, but when you go to those type places, man, you have some real ballers there. So I knew that I had to compete with that. So I was blessed enough to go to Philadelphia. Um, that's where I became a man, man. Philadelphia is a tough city. It's very different for me, but I wanted that. I wanted the big buildings. I wanted the subway. I wanted the grittiness of the city, which it did. It made me a tougher person. It made me more aware. But I'm from the South. You don't have to have your antennas up all the time. And you get to the city, man, you really you have to be aware of what's going on around you. That changed. Then college, man, was a role player, was a great player in college at Temple University. Did a lot of great things there. We were a great team there. The highest we were ranked was eighth in the country. Was eighth in the country twice. That's the highest we got. And then after college, man, I wanted to play pro ball. That didn't happen for me until 3 years later. That's where discipline came in. After I graduated college, I got cut from every place that I went to. I got cut from France. I got cut from the CBA. I got cut from Spain. So I got cut from the Atlanta Hawks when I went to camp with them that year. So I just kind of, stayed down, man. Was starting to get into a little trouble doing some things I wasn't supposed to do at the time, man. And then my mom called Coach Cheney and he told me to come back to school, which at that time I thought that I was going to be a coach. I thought I was going to take that avenue, finish, get my degree, be a coach. But then I got the itch back to play ball, man. I started working out and got an opportunity to come back home and play in the USBL in Atlanta, where I knew a lot of people. A lot of people knew me from high school because I was one of the top players in the state at that time. I think one or two. So got an opportunity to play USBL. I did that 2 summers. I did CBA 2 summers. I did Puerto Rico that last summer. And then that third summer, I was getting opportunities to play in the league. The first one was Portland. Went to Portland, played very well, and they drafted Jermaine O'Neal, which was, hey, we were about the same player at the time, and he's a Hall of Famer, should be. And then I went to New Jersey, played well there. And they wanted an older guy instead of a younger player. And I was really getting frustrated that summer. I thought I was going to end up playing overseas. And then I got a call to do a 1 day trial for the Miami Heat. I wasn't going to come because it was 1 day. Like I said, I was frustrated, man, because I was at New Jersey for a month and they didn't sign me. I was in Portland for a week. So I was like, what are these people going to see in 1 day? And I made up my mind. I was like, you know what? Let me just go down there, man. It's Miami. I can get me a day in Miami, hang out, man. Get me a quick little workout in, stay in shape. Come on back. So came down, got locked in, did the workout. They asked me to stay another day. They asked me to stay the next day after that, and then they sent me home. I thought the workout was over, but I didn't realize it was Labor Day.
Hmm.
So they sent me home because it was Labor Day, and they didn't want me to just be in Miami by myself because a lot of people were going on vacation. So I got a call. I was actually at a cookout that Monday, and they called me and told me I had to get home because I had a flight that night to come back to Miami. They wanted me to come back. So came back, and ended up staying that whole year or that whole summer. Got invited to training camp, did in training camp, made the team. And I've been here ever since, man. Did 4 years with Miami Heat. Did Denver, New Jersey, the Nets, the Hawks, the Pacers, and Mavericks and Kings. Those were
Well,
the teams I played for. So it was a great experience, man, playing in the NBA. To get to the drug part of it, I always stayed away from drugs, man. To me, it didn't make sense, to be honest with you, because I played basketball.
mm.
For me, I felt like my body was my business. So it didn't make sense for me to smoke and drink and do all of that because all
You
that's
say
going
you
to
were
do is
first exposed to drugs, and how did that really impact? I know you tried to stay away from it, seeing it grow up. So where did that really come from?
I was just, man, everybody, my cousins were doing it, my uncles were doing it, my friends were doing it, man. They always in the street game. I was surrounded by it. It's kind of frightening as a kid when you see somebody get shot or you see a dead body or you're in a situation where you got to shoot back. I don't talk about that situation a lot, man. And that's why I do the things I do for kids, man, because for me, being in that situation where you got to shoot back, it wasn't a great experience. One, it's really fast. What I mean? It's happening so fast and it's instinct, and you kind of like, wow, like what just happened? And it's very scary, man, because you like it's either you or them. It's you or
Definitely.
them. And that's a very scary situation to be in. I didn't like it. I wasn't comfortable with it. And once I knew that I wasn't comfortable with that, I knew I wasn't built for the street life. I knew it then. I wasn't built for that, man. I just didn't. I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't like the outcome of it. You either gonna go to jail or you're gonna die. And I didn't like that outcome. That's not a good outcome to me. So I just kind of stayed away from it. Like I said, man, I was blessed enough to have a pops that cared a lot about me. He wanted me to stay away from that. So as a kid, man, he kept me into sports. And as I think back on my childhood now, man, it was always somewhere I had to go. It was like we had to go to practice, or we had a game, or I had to go over here, or I had to go train here. Because at one point in time I was playing baseball and football at the same time. So it was like I had to go to football practice, and then I was leaving there trying to go to baseball practice too. So it was like always somewhere to go. So I think that was the key. Then once I got to high school, man, I just kind of blended in because drug was around. This was my first time being exposed to cocaine because I was just kind of shocked, like, man, like teenagers, like, where you get cocaine from? Like, how y'all doing this? But I was blessed enough to have OGs in the neighborhood too, that looked out for me. But they saw us somewhere that we weren't supposed to be, man. Back then, you would get slapped in the head, or something in the back of your head, man. They'd be like, we don't want to see you down there. A lot of people thought those people were bad people in the community, but they were actually keeping the community safe. Especially they knew who were athletes, who were trouble kids, so they kind of kept you away from. They kind of kept the peace with that and kept you on the straight and narrow, which is a sad situation that they're not. A lot of those OGs in the neighborhood no more because they cleaned that out. So that kept me straight. So between my pops, my great grandmother, and just having a great older guys look out for me, man, that kept me away from it.
Definitely. So you mentioned coming to Miami. So what was that like? Was a big adjustment for you? I know the Miami Vice team, you probably came around here. So
Yeah. The first time I came here, man, I used to see, like you said, I used to watch Miami Vice, and then on the news, it was always back then. It was always some type of drug thing in Miami. It was that's all they showed though.
mhm,
But I was smart enough to know that that just wasn't what Miami
Miami.
was about. So when I played in Puerto Rico, I had to fly through Miami to go to Puerto Rico. So my second time going there, man, they asked us to do a layover, and they was giving a hotel and the vouchers for food, and I was going to do the layover. So I called my mom. I was like, "Hey, mom, they giving away like a $800, voucher for tickets and all of this. Or should I stay?" She was like, don't stay in Miami. It's dangerous and this, and that. You need to go on and go where you got to go." So I was kind of scared of Miami at first, but then when I got down here, man, and you start to meet people and you start to venture out, man. I have a really cool personality. So real people don't recognize real.
hmm
So once I started meeting those 305 people that really explained to me how the city works, you always have to know where to go, where not to go. And then once I started meeting certain Zoes, Zoes are Haitians, if people don't know. I started meeting certain Haitians, started meeting some Jamaicans, started meeting some Bohemians, man. And then, they kind of took a liking to me, man. And then they kind of looked out for me. I always tell people when I first got to Miami, I got more love from the hood than I got from, Bell Harbor and those type places, man. Because I used to go to a place called what was this restaurant name, man? Oh my God, the Beautiful. Is it? No, the Beautiful is in Atlanta. It was a soul food restaurant down here called MLK restaurant, I think it was. I think, and I used to go there all the time with a Jamaican guy named Wes. I would get better service, better treatment there than when I would go to like Bal Harbor. So I always kind of, when I first got there, I was always around like good things. I tell people I would get more love at the Dade County Fair than I would get at certain, heat events. You know what I mean? It's just that people kind of took a liking to me, man. So in Miami, I was just smart enough to know that you just can't come to a city and disrespect the culture. It was a very different culture here. I think it's more Caribbean here than anything. So it's a different culture. So I had to kind of adjust to that. But I never really had any problems with drugs or anything of that nature down here. Never was around any of that type of stuff down here. That kind of started when I was younger, and then I learned how to avoid those type of problems and those type of situations. So that really helped me when I got down here to Miami.
That's what's up. So, seeing the drugs now, I know that we're both a little older now. How do you think they're going to impact the future generation, with all the laws going through? They're still trying to
Yeah.
keep marijuana banned. The kids are still going to get their hands on it. So what's your, feedback and thoughts on that?
It's gonna be tough, man. This is why I do what I do at Day Prep. Kids are missing the boat on education, and the drug thing is picking up. But what I found since I do a hoop dreams program at night, a lot of the younger generation are changing their mind about rap and drugs and social media.
Okay.
They're looking at it in a much bit. They have a bigger view of it. They're not looking at it as just that. They're looking at it as okay. These are things that I got to stay away from. It's more to life out here than just rapping. I don't need to be in the street gang. Let me get my education so that I can go to college and develop some relationships, and I can get. There's nothing wrong with being uh, law-abiding citizen, man, and a good person, just out here living a regular life. There's nothing wrong with that. So I think the younger generation is getting it, but there's a generation in there that's kind of lost, just sad, which is why we do what we do. We're trying to save as many of those kids as we can. So I don't think a lot of those kids are going to be lost, man. That's a
Yeah.
generation that's going to be lost. We're going to lose a lot of those kids, unfortunately. This just has to go to jail, or death.
Yeah.
That's what we seeing now. Every day on the news, I see some kid got shot, or some kid doing something that they weren't supposed to do, or some kid getting arrested, for a drug ring or something like that. So I think it's the younger generation. I think it's a generation coming up now that's kind of understanding that that's not the way to go. More of them are understanding that, but there is a generation there, man, that's lost, and I think that's sad for us as America, us as human beings, especially us in the Black and brown community, because it's affecting us more than anything.
Definitely, because again, like you mentioned earlier, it's all about education. And most of
Yeah,
us just don't understand what's going on.
yeah,
The fentanyl thing, these kids don't understand that. They happen to be taught that, and they're
yeah,
like I said, they're late on it, and it doesn't help that we have the gap between the two generations.
yeah.
So, talk about generations and the kids, stuff like that. How are these conversations for you as a father, talking to your kids and how you've had to raise them differently with everything going on?
Well, I'm a James Evans type of parent. I give out whoopings at my house. I know people don't like whoopings, but I feel like there's a difference between a whooping and a beating. A beating to me is like if I'm sitting watching TV and my daughter comes to sit in front of the TV and I just start hitting her because she's in the way of the TV. That's not happening in the house. But if I tell my daughter that, hey, when we go in this store, don't ask me for anything. And then we go in the store, she asks me anything. Yes, there are going to be consequences for that. We feel like it's my job as especially African American father, we have to teach our kids different because the rules are different. There's going to be different rules for my daughter. There's going to be different rules for my son. So I kind of discipline them early in life. So by the time they became maybe 9, 10 years old, man, I kind of had that fear factor. Like, hey, I don't tell my dad. I kind of had that because I had that.
Yeah,
If I didn't get like two whoopings my whole life, but I got the point across.
definitely.
They got the point across. I never got any trouble. I'm not getting any trouble now. I'm blessed to have the kids that I have. But yeah, you had to have those conversations early. I remember talking to Markai when he was maybe 7 years old about weed and cocaine. I was kind of like sad after I had that conversation. I'm like, man, like I'm talking to him about this at 7, 8, 9 years old. Man, he should be out riding a bike, playing in the park, playing with kids. We shouldn't be having this conversation about drugs. I had to have a conversation with him at 11 years old about sex. Man, 11 years old, I wasn't thinking about no sex, man.
Not
All I was
thinking.
doing was maybe touching a girl or something like that, man. Something like light mannish. I wasn't thinking about having sex with a girl at 11, 12 years old. No, I wasn't. So that's the difference, man. I think these kids are growing up faster. Us as parents, we have to adjust. Now is the trans thing that we have to talk about. I have to talk about that now with my daughter, which is sad. She's only 9, but we started talking about that when her was like 7.
Hmm.
So they had a transgender kid go to her school. So
Oh,
I had to explain to her, they put that in TV. You see it on TV all the time. You turn on TV, you see a girl kissing a girl, you see a guy kissing a guy. So, and she's turning around like, what is that? So I have to explain it. So society is putting us in these positions as parents that we have to talk about this stuff earlier than I wanted to. I don't know about other parents. I can only speak for myself. I really felt like it was sad that I had to talk to my daughter about drugs my son about drugs at 7, 8 years old. I
hmm.
felt like that was sad because I never had that conversation. I've seen it, but I didn't have that conversation until I was like 13, 14 with my dad. Because he knew I wasn't around it at that age. But now he was around it.
Yeah,
Yeah, in elementary school, and people got weed in school and vape pens and These type of things, man. It's scary as a parent these days. It put more pressure on us
Hmm.
to be aware and know what's going on. Especially with on computers and the social media. It's just more things you have to be conscious of as a parent, man, so that you can relate to your child about it and explain to them and give them the pros and cons of what it means.
Yeah, I agree with you because again, like you mentioned, pretty much in our face now. Like you have to talk about, it, you have to deal with it. And back in the day, we would go to the gas station. It's candies and it's stuff. Now they got all the color vapes, all the flavors. So it's like, oh, what's that?
Yeah,
Yeah, the candy's down here,
yeah,
but
it's
I'm looking up here. I got the blueberry vapes and all that.
everything.
So it's like you got to just prepare yourself for that because all the chemicals and stuff like that,
Yeah,
we can't really prepare for that. These companies are gonna keep putting it in your face, like you said, social media. So now it's in your kid's phone.
yeah,
So they're getting to it before you even get to it.
yeah,
And like you say, you gotta be on top of it.
yeah,
So it's definitely a changing conversation.
yeah.
So it's just like
Big change.
what have you seen differently from when you were growing up to now as far as that really
The kids these days have more access.
access?
Social media, on the internet. You man, come on. When I was growing up, we had the encyclopedia, man.
Hmm.
So now they have the internet. You just go to your phone and look up anything. We got a kid. We have a third and fourth grade team at Hoop Dreams, man. One of the kids were talking about OnlyFans. I was like, man, third grade. How do you know about OnlyFans? He's like, oh no, my brother, shows it to me and this and that. So yeah, to me, it's sad, man, that,
Yeah,
that a guy in the third grade knows about OnlyFans. Like he should
definitely.
not be thinking about OnlyFans. So it's a big difference. I think social media, the internet, there's more access now. When we were growing up, man, we would have to ride around. You remember you had to ride around your neighborhood and you look for the house with all the bikes. That's where you know where everybody was at. Now they can say, hey man, where y'all at? Or you can text them or something like
Yeah.
that. All these kids got phones. My daughter has a phone, there's nothing on it, but she still has a phone. So she can reach people when she want to reach people. I know she use YouTube, so all she gotta do is YouTube something. So I have to kind of stay on top of that. So that's the difference. They just have more access. And like I said before, us as parents, it's more pressure on us to know about these things so that we can better explain it to them so that they won't, get in trouble with it.
You mentioned Hoop Dreams. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Old Dreams is a program. I joined that, man. It was my way of giving back to the game of basketball because basketball has given me so much. I tried the coaching thing, but I just didn't like the way I was treated. So I met a guy, John Abreu. He was running a program called Hoop Dreams. I joined him with that program, and it gives me an opportunity to one, we take the kids that a lot of these programs don't want, and then we make some of them good players, and then they go off and go to other players, which I don't really mind. It's about getting them better anyway. And if they have a better opportunity to play in front of more, get more exposure in another program, I mean that's fine by me. I don't have a son in the program. I don't have my daughter doesn't play ball, so I'm just there, kind of trying to give him back, and it's working, man. We win tournaments. We go to a big tournament every Memorial Day in Orlando, man, and we always come in first or second, which is amazing. If you saw our team, you would not think that we would be coming in that position. But they really listen. I only stick with I stick with 10-year-olds on down.
Okay.
I think with that age group, it seemed like they listen to me more. High school, you get to high school kids, they think they know it all, and you can't really teach them as much. But that 10 on down, between 10 and 6, man, those guys take everything I say. They it's like a
Sponge.
sponge.
Yep.
They just take it, and you see it when I'm telling them. They go out and do it on the court. But I try to catch them at that age, man, with hoop dreams, and then it's been working so far. We've been doing a lot of good work. It's really not about the money. Sometimes that's frustrating because we do live in Miami, and it takes a lot of money to live here. But the impact that I have on those kids, man, is more of satisfying to me and gratifying to me than the money.
So what's the age range there at Hoop Dreams?
We go from 12th grade to third grade.
Okay.
Yeah, we go 12th grade to third grade. We just, it's hard to have a lot of high school teams because they play year round now. These days, like when we grew up, you play football season. Baseball season, basketball season. Now they made it so that you have to learn a sport so early,
Hmm.
to compete.
Yeah.
So now you can, as an elementary guy, you can't go to the rec and play football because they always got basketball season in the summer now. You got basketball in the fall. You got basketball in regular basketball season. So it's kind of year round. So you can't really juggle that anymore. So man, it's a big change. But we just try to make sure, instill some discipline, let them know that how they handle things on the court is how they're going to handle things in life. And we just try to get them that discipline, that focus. Because if you can focus on here on the court, you can do the same thing in the classroom. It all works hand in hand with
Definitely.
life, classroom, sports. It's all the same thing. So we try to teach them, get them better attitudes and better viewpoints on how to handle adversity.
All right. So last question since we got you here. We are all-time NBA starting five.
Ooh, I'm gonna go with my point guard is gonna be Magic. My two guard is gonna be Michael Jordan, the GOAT. My three is gonna be LeBron James, the King. My four is gonna be Kevin Garnett because I felt like he was like 7'1", man. He could shoot threes. He could rebound. He had a mid-range game. He had a post game. I know people like Paul Malone and all these other guys, but I picked Kevin Garnett, man, just because of his size and his length. And my center is gonna be Shaquille O'Neal. Me and my high school coach always argue because he played with Wilt for the Lakers,
Hmm.
and he says Wilt is better. But I just feel like Shaq, man. We never seen anything like that, and I played against Shaq, so I know what that feels like. I never got a chance to play against Wilt. I'm not that old, but I just feel like Wilt played against. It was maybe like 6 teams in his conference back then. So maybe 12 teams total in the league. I mean, Shaq was playing against, man, 30 something teams, man. So that's a lot of wear and tear. And it
Yeah.
was a lot more game. He played a lot more games. So that's my five, man. I'm going Magic, Jordan, LeBron, Kevin Garnett, and Shaquille O'Neal.
Give me a six man off the bench. Who you
My
going with?
six man out the bench is gonna be Kobe Bean Bryant as my guard, and my center is gonna be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. My big is gonna be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Those
Do
are
it.
going to be my two bigs, man. My big and my small coming out the bench.
Do it.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate you for coming on.
Appreciate it, man.
Anytime, man. We'll have you back. Appreciate it.